fine, you know.
Yes. But we're now going live, guys. We are now going live. So
I trust you'd cycle from East Sussex there, wouldn't you?
Yeah. About 4 weeks, be all right.
It's the green way of doing it, yeah. But
we're live on Facebook now, guys. So
excellent.
Wonderful.
Right.
Welcome everybody to the art category. So we are joined by Francis Saunders. We'll be showing his film a bit later, and we're hearing all about what inspired him and stuff. So yeah, here we are. Time to do the art category. So Marcus.
Okay, well, we'll run these in order, and we'll say if anyone does try to join us, you'll keep an eye on that when you go.
I'm keeping an eye on.
The art category, and I'll be honest with you, Francis, is something that we included in the first year because somebody entered an art film.
Right.
And it wasn't because we were sort of thinking art, but actually over the years we have, I mean, we've had some very strange films, it must be said, but we also had, I think it's developing. I think the art genre in video is developing year on year. We get, you know, sometimes there's a sort of a trend. We see a trend in the sort of, I suppose, and maybe in the art world, there's an influence that influences a lot of people, but we kind of do see that trend occasionally. But this year's been quite all over the place. I think probably down to lockdown. It's probably, don't you think?
Yeah, I'll definitely. Yeah, I think obviously with the lockdown and everything, that sort of held up. And then I think a lot of creatives had to start creating with the environment they're in, which then can translate into objects and other bits and pieces that fall into the art category. So, yeah,
it's been interesting. I like to see how that develops because I think that's all part of the process. And you know, video isn't what you normally aspire to as an artist unless you're sort of of a certain, I suppose, generation. But no, it's been good, hasn't it? Oh, it's getting better. Yeah.
And I think with the access of, you know, the way smartphones are coming out now and they're improving constantly, I think we'll see a lot more of that because obviously a lot of filmmakers who, if you're going back a good few years, you would need to get your film funded, etc. And we all know that can be a long process. Whereas if you've got a really good couple of smartphones and some kit and some creativity, you can really knock up something pretty good to get yourself out there.
We had a film earlier in the drama category, and it was filmed on mobile phones. Which shows, I mean, it's just a show, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And I think all it's done with the, you know, there's a lot of filmmakers who will say, well, you know, it's on phones or whatever. But I tend to think that, you know, if you've got creative people and they just haven't got that resource of finance around them, which, let's face facts, nowadays finance is becoming less and less accessible to a lot of people. And if you're creative, you still need to express that creativity somewhere. So if you've got that film kit, you go out and do it.
Absolutely.
There's one thing I will say about art, Marcus. The art category is always the one that surprises me the most. And some of the films we get entered, I do think this person needs to speak to somebody.
That is true. I have to say, they are well varied.
Yeah, they are. Like, should I phone the police?
Yeah. But I say, well, taking you back to that point, Francis, about the equipment, I think if you look at cinema itself, if you turned up onto a film set 50 years ago with anything less than a train track and a boom mic and about 100 people, they wouldn't be taken seriously. And yet now, if you turn up with a mobile phone and someone else has got a tripod with a camera and a radio mic on it, you think the people with the iPhone's not taking it seriously. And I think every step we take forward, there's always people hanging on to how it should be rather than seeing how it could be. And I think art is one of those sort of, it's a category where I think you say the creative people are most prevalent in, and I think we'll see in the next sort of 10-15 years an exponential growth in quality and diversity with that.
Yeah, and I definitely think that, and I think good thing about the art category, it lets people experiment. And as you say, sometimes you can see stuff in an art category, and you look at it, and you'll go, "Phew, you know what? Where were they when they made that, or where was the, you know?" But again, it's still an expression. It's still an expression, and people still developing. And I think, like you guys, the film festival you set up, I think it's great because it's giving people that opportunity to express themselves, to get out there, to see where they're at as filmmakers, or if they've shot it on mobile phones or whatever. So it's really important. I think your festival's doing an amazing job to open a category like that, to let people sift through, because it will expand and it will develop.
Yeah, well, the festival was set up for the purpose of giving up-and-coming filmmakers a platform. That was our sole intention, and it was a student project originally. The very first, we kind of went, well, let's keep doing it, you know. And this is the 8th year, so
wonderful.
So should we watch? Right. So Marcus, we're going to watch Alexandra Bouge Passing 27 first. So basically, I'll let you speak a bit about Alexandra, and then we'll watch the movie.
Right. Well, Alexandra is a graduate of the Sorbonne University of Visual Arts and Communication, and she's obviously big on the art and the video. What do you call it? The video format. So she's quite prolific, and this is her offering. This film is just showing the passage from one state to another, from birth to death, and from death to birth. That's that was the synopsis that she gave, the inspiration that she gave. And so if you want to play that, we'll talk about it when we've seen it.
I'll mute us all first, and then I'll do the. Right, that's that. And unmute yourselves.
There we go. I do like space. I must admit, it's one of my one of the most inspirational things you can sort of study. I think space.
Yeah, space. It's great.
One of the things I will say is that we with the judging of the art category, we always pass it to an expert. And if she's watching, Jane, thank you very much. Jane runs the creative space here in Keighley in Yorkshire, and basically we always kind of say, right, give us your best one, because she's a bit of a guru when it comes to the old artwork, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she runs an art gallery locally, and she's got a lot of artistic friends. We get them to collaborate with the selection and the judging. But from my point of view, I think that's a benefit to you, not to me as a filmmaker, because that's I think I can make horrendous mistakes. But I think the art category is not just visual; it's also poetic. it's, you know, there's a lot of, it's also a sort of conceptual, there's a lot to it, don't you think? I mean, what was your take on that visual sort of representation?
To me,
yeah,
I mean, completely different. I mean, obviously from what she's showing there, she's just showing that because obviously there's a whole concept in it that we come from the universe. So she's trying to show the transition from, you know, from the universe to birth to death, and that whole cycle, that we're just part of a whole universal cycle. So yeah, different, completely different, absolutely different.
I like the MRI bit at the beginning. Well, that was clever.
But it's like that. I think in the birth of a star, we're still seeing them. I mean, you can still see stars being born in space, and yet you can see stars dying and creating new stars from their energy. And you just think that's
the whole
thing. Yeah.
It's the whole concept of the cosmos, of everything. Everything's got a birth and a death, and there's a transition between that. So I guess that's what she was trying to show, and the brain patterns and stuff, and trying to, what I got from that sort of brain image that she put up was, obviously, if you look at that closely, and then she went to the universal star system and stuff, it's very similar, the patterns, the movements, you know, the electrodes, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, good, different. Probably not everyone's cup of tea, but then everything we put out there is not everyone's cup of tea, is it? I mean, you know,
true.
I've watched a couple of things recently on one of the social media platforms, and I mean, you know, everyone was raving about it, and it's great if I want to have a good sleep. But that was great, good.
Yeah, cool.
I'm like that with the Marvel series.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go there. If I want a good sleep, I'll just put one of them on.
Yeah, put one of them on. You're out in 5 minutes. Yeah,
I'm the same. 4-hour film. Here's a 4-hour film where the story goes really slowly until the end, and then something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
I don't see Hollywood ringing me after that rave review.
I'll tell you what, though, Francis. About the thing about running a short film festival is we see. You know, we get the chance to see a lot of films, thousands of films since we started doing this. And I haven't got any patience for Hollywood anymore. If you can't tell the story in 10 minutes, get out of my hair, you know.
Who needs a 4-hour marathon? Just can't tell it in 10 seconds. That's it. See ya. Yeah.
That's it. I've actually you know, you binge watch things now, don't you? You tend to binge watch stuff in shutdown situations, lockdown situations. And I've now, if I get bored with a story plot in a series, I'll just read each episode, you know, and then watch the last one. I go, all right,
yeah.
My wife does that, right? She'll go on to IMDb. We'll be watching something, and it'll be like one of the main characters has died, and you know, it looks like they've died, and she'll go IMDb. Then in the next 4, it's all right, you know. Just
in flashbacks. That's the problem, you see. That's
when I hope it's flashbacks, so I can go, I told you he died.
Yeah. Have you ever seen The Heist? Yeah.
I like The Heist. I thought it was quite good.
I read The Heist. All right, Vic. So Francis, go on then, Gareth.
Francis's film is next, The Silence. So Francis, do you want to tell us a bit about what inspired you, and you know what the thinking behind it is?
So just before lockdown came, before the 23 hour sort of lockdown, where we was only allowed out for an hour's exercise or to the shops, I'd been set to put a play on, and a lot of the actors that I was working with, everyone was struggling, and we were sort of talking via Facebook and stuff. And I said, look, you know, why don't we do an experiment, a lockdown film? I can write it. I can send you all the scripts. You can film it on your smartphones. You can do your voiceover on your smartphones. WhatsApp me all the files, and we'll cut it together, and let's see what we come up with. And I thought of different ways people were feeling within the lockdown. And that's why in the movie, you'll see there's different sections, the silence, you'll see it as it comes up. And that's just really how most people are feeling. Some people are feeling worthless. and people were longing to get back to some sort of normality. Some people, it was sending them crazy, not being able to see their families. So we, as a group of us, we tried to capture that in this film. And we didn't know how it was going to come out, obviously, because we're all locked away and I can't direct them. They're all sort of, you know, shooting stuff, and they'd sent me some stuff and we'd gone backwards and forwards. And one of the young guys, Lindsay, he sent me the wrong footage by mistake of him doing his monologue and coughing and laughing and pointing at the camera. So I actually used that footage because I thought it was really good with his voiceover, because it just made him look like he was completely insane, locked away and he can't sleep.
Did you
So
tell him, or did he learn in the edit? Did he learn at the end?
Yeah. Well, when he didn't know we used the wrong footage of it until we sent it to him.
Brilliant.
So he'd sat and done this really good monologue, but all the other outtakes, I looked at it and thought, it's strange how things work out, because when we looked at, like, when I sat and looked at the footage, I thought his actual voiceover goes with that, because he's, you know, he was coughing and pointing and laughing, and it just made him look like he was delirious, which you would be if you hadn't slept. And there was a guy that I'd sort of got friendly with on Facebook, and he's based in California, Karen Andrews. So I pulled Karen in as well. So it's amazing that we'd shot the film based in sort of, you know, East Sussex, and then it's Brighton, London, and California. Everyone's come together. So it's just mad how it all works out.
It's affected everyone, hasn't it? I mean, Sasha and Jack are on Facebook watching this, so hi to you too as well. It's, the pandemic, again, this sort of theme that seems to be running accidentally through the festival has, I think this was like a poem almost about, I sort of saw it as a sort of as much visual as vocal. It's I really loved it. Yeah.
It's just, thanks. It's just our, you know, because you in it, I've got, you know, I thought about, you know, if you've got people, actors who can't perform, you've got artists who are just, like Sasha played a character who's completely blank, you know, because she just it's just shut everything off. Jack played a character who's just feels worthless. He's got no one to talk to. He's in his house. He's locked up. And then we've got Karen Andrews. He feels disconnected because all the people, all his memories, can't do anything. And then you've got Lindsay, who played the character who's drained. He's just drained of everything, which I think the pandemic did drain us all. I mean, it's still it's still there. It's, you know, it's still draining us, isn't it? We're all. So I tried to show all those emotions that somebody, when you're watching it, you could go, that's exactly how I felt, or that's exactly, you know, and it almost becomes to the point of insanity, doesn't it? If you're, you know, it's okay if you've got family, or if you, I mean, if you're, you know, if we can jump on Zoom and have a chat with friends, but there are people out there who don't know how to use Zoom, who wouldn't have a clue how to use some sort of technology. It could be difficult, and to be trapped alone. You know, Jack's character played that, where he's just, you know, there's just nothing left. He's just at his worst end. So that's what we tried to capture. I mean, I'm really proud of all the guys who've done it, because obviously, you know, it was an experiment. And, you know, if you turn up with cameras and you're all there and you're rehearsing, we didn't have any rehearsals. We were just backwards, forwards on WhatsApp and picture messaging and everything else, you know.
Yeah, plenty of time for retakes, I suppose, but that's about it. You know?
Yeah.
But it has, I mean, I think this, the reason that we sort of selected this was because it speaks to so many people right now. We all know somebody who is you know, one of the characters, you know, in the film. And I think that's because it's sort of abstract art, isn't it? But it's also, it is also very personal. And how you see it sort of affects you depending on whether you are one of those people or you know one of those people. It's a different emotion. It's so
and in some way or shape, form, everybody, as you say, knows whether you're affected or you're not. You'll know someone who feels, you know, because people talk and they feel a bit down, or they feel a bit lost, or, you know, can't go. To some people, their family is everything, and to not be allowed to see your family, to is just like, you know, I mean, it's a pandemic, isn't it? It's affected all of us, and I think it's changed the way we view everything. So yeah, when we shot it, and I hope everybody sort of gets it and enjoys it.
Well, let's watch it, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll all go on mute and we'll just we'll watch it for a sec.
Okay.
The silence, it follows me everywhere. The silence, it everywhere. Everywhere. The solitude surrounds me, there is no escape. The solitude surrounds me, there is no escape. The silence, it follows me everywhere. I long for the day when I can be myself again. How I long to see all those faces as they applauded. To know that the performance had been truly enjoyed. The silence, it follows. The silence, it follows me. The silence, it follows. It follows me everywhere. Everywhere.
Worthless. I feel worthless. Worthless. Every day seems like that's how I feel today. Worthless. Yesterday. Every day seems like yesterday. Yesterday. There is no tomorrow. Like today. There is no tomorrow. Worthless. That's how I feel, and that's how I am. I feel worthless. Worthless. Every day seems like worthless yesterday. Every day seems yesterday seems like today. There is yesterday no tomorrow. Seems like today. Worthless. There is no tomorrow. That's how I feel. Worthless. Worthless. I feel every worthless. Day how seems I feel. Like yesterday. Yesterday. Every day seems like yesterday. There is no tomorrow. Yesterday seems like today. Worthless. That's how I feel, and that's how I am.
Drained. I'm feeling drained. I have not slept in 2 days. To be exact, 48 hours, 20 minutes, 36 seconds. I watch the news, listen to the broadcast, drained, hoping for something new, a light at the end of this dark tunnel. I have not slept, hoping for a day when I can return back to my studies, to be my degree, 48 hours, my friends, 20 my minutes, families, 36 seconds. How am I meant to cope with these situations? Something I have never experienced before. I watch the news. I don't feel like myself anymore. Listen to the broadcast. Hoping for I don't feel like anything. A light at the end of this dark tunnel. Drained. hoping for a day when I can return back to my studies, my degree, my friends, my families. How am I meant to cope with these situations? Drained. Something I have never experienced. 48 hours, I'm feeling drained. 20 minutes, 36 seconds. I have not slept in 2 days. In 2 days. To be exact, watch the news. To be 48 hours, 20 minutes broadcast. Hoping for something new. Drained.
Blank. My mind unable to touch on that blank creative flow. Completely blank. Blank. The joy I had. Completely blank. The direction. Blank. Blank. Completely blank. 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 Completely blank. Completely blank. 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 Complete blank. 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 Completely blank. Completely blank. 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 Completely blank.
Motionless. I never thought I would live to see the day that I feel motionless. Disconnected. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel disconnected. Especially from disconnected friends, family, loved ones. Yeah, that's the laughter. How I feel. I feel disconnected. How I miss the laughter. Especially we laugh so much, we almost cry. Family, disconnected. Now the laughter. Yeah, that's how I feel. It's how I miss the laughter. Disconnect anymore. I mean, we laugh so much, especially we almost cry. Just happy memories, family, that loved one now make me sad. The laughter, and as I sit within these four walls, how I miss the laughter. It's a constant reminder. We laugh so much. This is just an illusion. It's a facade. It really now makes me sad. Now, these memories are telling me a story of what I four walls laugh about. It's a constant reminder. I can't that this is just an illusion. It's just a facade. It really be memories real that now make me sad. These memories are telling me a story of what I can't sit within these four walls. I can't. It's a constant reminder that this is just an illusion. It's a facade. It really isn't real. I can't. These memories are telling me a story of what I can't visit. I can't. In a world full of touch, 7 billion people. I can't hold. I feel completely alone. I can't embrace. I can't kiss. I feel I can't visit. Disconnected in a world full of 7 billion people. I feel completely alone. I feel disconnected.
Wow.
That's good, isn't it?
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's not enjoyable. No.
Yeah.
And a couple of people have asked me. They said why I just didn't run it as a straight monologue. Why I had the voices going, repeating over and over, and I kind of wanted to symbolise that people just running thoughts over and over, and then another thought comes up, and it's almost to the verge of insanity, you know, because they're asking themselves questions, trying to justify everything, and it's just madness, you know. I mean, Sasha was like, every time I look at it, I look again, and Sasha, that portrait of the blank was just brilliant. I loved it. So yeah.
The cameo from The Fly in the beginning, I thought was actually but I think even though it was completely unintentional, if I'd have been making the film and I'd have seen The Fly, I'd have been like, quick, while the fly's here, because it really added to the stillness.
Yeah, well, because when I saw The Fly, I was just like, it couldn't have been any better, really. I mean, it was complete, as you said, completely still, and then suddenly this fly is going round that just symbolises movement, and you're like, whoa! I mean, it's great, yeah. I mean,
It's like a visual oxymoron in the fact
Yeah.
that basically you've got this stillness, but you've got this movement which actually accentuates the stillness.
yeah,
Really
yeah,
good.
great, yeah.
Totally totally unintended, I'm sure, but
Yeah, it was, and there was quite a lot of stuff, you know, unintended, like Linson when he sent that stuff where he was coughing and laughing, and that was actually the outtakes of him where he'd messed up his monologue and he was laughing at his friends.
that was good as well. Yeah.
Do you know what? I thought that was inspired, and I actually, when I watched it, I really thought that was a proper metaphor for, in fact, for what's going on, or a sort of an abstract version of what's going on in people's heads. I mean, I have friends with this isolation problem where, you know, they're on their own, they're used to support from the community, or they're getting darker and darker, and you can see that sort of, it does turn into hysteria, and at the end of the day, you either got to laugh or you've got to cry, and I think sometimes there's a very slight border between those two things, and the crying comes out as laughter. I liked the looking at the pictures, you know, to sort of show, do you know, that thing, oh, this is what life used to be like. Do you know that sort of feeling that we get that now when you see a film that was shot before the 6-foot rule? You know, you've got people in a crowded pub smoking. You think, what? They're smoking and they're together. Yeah. What's going on? You know, and
what's going on?
It used to be like that, and I think that you can relate to that now with the COVID thing, can't you? With the 2-meter rule and stuff.
Yeah, and people just, you know, looking back at our life used to be, you know, how it used to be, all the stuff that, you know, even down to like Karen there, where he had the wedding picture. It's just, you know, all huddled together, and with the whole thing, like weddings and things like that were banned. You weren't allowed to get married. You weren't allowed to do this. You weren't allowed to do that. So just tried to just get every kind of emotion that's going on, and kind of tap into that, and how some people, like Heather at the start there, you know, just portrayed that kind of silent look out of the window where she just completely. So we just tried to give everyone a feel of how we're all feeling, you know. I mean, I'll sit and look at those characters and I can relate to, you know, some of those characters, because obviously, you know, you sit down, you watch TV and your head's all over the place, and then you know, some people get into that void, don't they? And they start to panic about, will things ever go back to normal? Will there ever be a normality ever again? Which is the, you know, which is the you know, the big question.
One of the things that's surprising me, and it obviously just in my head, but you portray all the stillness and the silence and stuff like that, and the fact, yes, like you say, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do that, the other. But for me, time is flying. It's crazy how far we're in October the 24th.
Yeah,
and it feels like only yesterday they were saying, right, we're going to close the pubs.
Yeah,
and I do feel like time is just flying by, and it's crazy.
I definitely agree with you there, because when someone said, I was chatting to someone the other day, and they said, "Oh yeah, we've been doing this since March," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
it's just like, I was like, "What? Hang on," and another week or so, and we're in November.
Yeah,
and then it's like, bloody. I mean,
takes me to the other side of the coin, which is, if that's the case, when's it going to end? You know, and it does need to end. It needs to sort itself bloody out, really.
We need to get some normality back to everyone, because obviously, you know, there's people struggling mentally, physically, and I mean, you know, even just not people who are isolated or sort of creatives, but even really driven people who need to drive and have that, you know, that sort of like goal to set in business or work or anything, and that's just boom, because you can't be driven because you don't know when you can do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I just leave you with a comment from Facebook before we move on? First of all, Sasha said, and we love working on the film, so that's something. That's
always something. Yeah.
That's always something. But Jack Chandler commented. He said, Francis has been a great inspiration and a wonderful facilitator during lockdown. was very powerful to take part, and as an actor, I learned a new fond respect for the rest of filmmaking process. having to do most of it myself, challenging but very rewarding. I think, you know, so you've opened people's eyes to how difficult your job is. There, that's was that what your intention was in the end?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and for me, I think as actors, for them to experience, to sort of say, well, how could I do this and how can I do that? It's just good for them. So, and I think also, you know, when they're in front of the camera, and someone says, can you do it this way because of this? They'll go, oh, you know, yeah, I understand a bit now. Yeah. And it sort of relates, doesn't it? You kind of get that grip to it. And I think they've done a great job just filming it, because obviously, you know, once all the footage started, oh yeah, we've done it, and the footage all started arriving, I was watching it, I was like, brilliant, fantastic. So yeah, good. I mean, everyone in the film were great to work with. I mean, great, you know, fantastic people.
You obviously had a good time.
I must admit, good edit, Francis. Yeah,
wonderful, thanks. Yeah,
I like the whole repetition, because, you know, yeah, it really added to it. Right, we're going to move on to the next film. So Marcus, you could do a little bit of an intro for this. This is Stephen Subotnick.
Yeah.
And the film is Edge.
So yeah, it's from America. Yeah, I couldn't tell you where RI is because I'm not very good with American
Rhode Island.
Oh, Rhode Island. Ah, right. Family Guy. Yeah, I got that. Okay. And it's the synopsis is one of the shortest. It's a call and response, and what it says about this is that oh yeah, it does say Rhode Island in his brief, to be honest. That it's an abstract textural cartoon. He calls it a cartoon animation. Unusual editing techniques and carefully structured sound design to convey deeply personal aesthetic experience to the viewers. Well, you could roll VT if you wanted to.
Excellent. So I actually there for a second, Francis, I thought your fly was back. Briefly. Yeah.
I actually that was interesting. That was I like the
I like the music.
I like the crossover there between what you would hang on the wall and what you can experience. And I think, you know, I'll level with you, Francis. I went to the Tate Gallery when I was at school.
Right.
It was a school outing. Didn't always live in Yorkshire, and I don't know if you could tell by the accent, but I went to the Tate Gallery, and there was I came across this orange wall, and it had a little blue border around it and a little sign on it. And I thought, well, I went to read the sign because I thought, well, I wonder what they were going to hang on there. So I thought I'd read the title, thinking they'd left the title behind, and it said, "Orange wall with blue border by," and the artist anonymous. I'm not surprised, I thought, and and that was my experience of modern art, and it's always tainted my view of modern art. And I sometimes think when you hang something on the wall, part of that experience is to read the title of the piece, because there's more work gone into the title of the piece sometimes than the actual piece itself. However, with video, I see the crossover now, and I don't know what you feel, but I think that it's what modern art has been missing.
Yeah, I think it's just with the crossover to video, it's becoming more, as you say, if you go and you just look at modern art, you could look at a piece or something that's hanging on the wall. It's not everyone's cup of tea, whereas I think the crossover with video just lets you engage with it a bit more. Yeah. So you become a bit more, it makes it's immersive. Yeah, it is. Yeah. You can sort of immerse in it rather than just looking at something and going, well, what's the point? Some people say, what's the point in that? I'm not really a massive big art fan in that respect, but I think watching things is definitely the way forwards. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I always thought anyone can put a urinal in a glass case, but actually it's the inspiration as to why they put it in the glass case that makes the whole art piece worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely.
And sometimes if they don't make the effort in the title, then it's nothing to me.
Yeah.
You know, I went into the Leeds gallery and saw a piece of work. It was a breadboard with a knife in it, and it was entitled Wood and Metal. Okay. Yeah. I thought
that's why we have programs like The Simpsons taking the mickey out of the art world, because of the fact, you know, when he's trying to build a doghouse and it's the barbecue, wherever it was, and it's a complete shambles, and somebody comes along and goes, "Oh my God, that's amazing!"
Like, but I think video, like going back to that film, I think that was a very simple visual. If you'd have hung that on the wall,
yeah,
people would have walked past it. There's a little dot on there. You think, oh, look, there's a speck. But your eyes instinctively, deliberately drawn to very small details. Almost, I mean, to me, it was things like, you know, an act of kindness in a huge world. People are drawn to that rather than, you know, I mean, could say all sorts of things to all sorts of people and different interpretations on that. And I think that's because the music that went with it, that sort of vocal music, which I love, that sort of Russian influence, and that but that ability to draw your eye was quite clever. I thought it was, you know,
good. Right. Yeah. Let's have the results, Mr. Greg. Let's have the results of the art category, because then we can have a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a comfort break.
Need comfort.
Okay. Well, overall, we had 3 films, each fairly close except for one, which seemed to speak to more people than most. The winner of the art category, the art genre, is Francis Saunders and the Silence.
Well done.
Wonderful.
That was
brilliant.
Live from the voting forms. I left them open all the way up till the end just in case, so I had to go and check to make
sure.
But,
that's fantastic news, guys.
I think it needs to get out there. You need to get this out there now, and we'll do our best to you know, pass it around. So
brilliant.
I'm really glad for you. Really good. I'm you know.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. And thanks to everyone on Facebook and everyone who engaged and stuff. Brilliant. Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah,
well done. Right. So, people on Facebook, we will be back shortly with the next category, which I believe is going to be comedy.
It is comedy, yeah.
Yeah, it is. We've got comedy next. So basically, we will see you on the hour 5 o'clock-ish. And yeah, see you soon.
See you
Bye for
soon.
now.
Thanks very much. Yeah, thank you.